Hello, thank you so much for tuning into our session called Moving the Tassel, supporting students from move-in to graduation. We are so excited to talk to you a little bit more from some of the leading experts across campus who help support our students every day in persisting throughout their time here at the University of Oklahoma. We're looking forward to sharing with you about some great programs that exist across campus, as well as some sage advice from those who work most closely with our students and helping them in their wellness, in their academic success, and all the challenges that might come their way. So hopefully you can learn something from some of our experts here. My name is Marissa Henderson, and I serve as our Associate Director of Campus Experience within the Office of Admissions and Recruitment, and get a pleasure to work with some of these incredible partners of our office in helping recruit students to the University of Oklahoma. And then when we turn it over to our amazing partners across OU, they help our students get a degree here, which is really cool. So without further ado, I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves. They'll share their name and where they work across campus before we jump in and have them share a little bit more about their roles. So Katie, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself first.
Thanks for having me. I am Katy Powers, and I work in the Division of Student Affairs. My role on campus, I serve as the Outreach Director for the Behavior Intervention Team. So we really work with helping connect students to supportive resources on campus.
All right, and I'm Jonathan Van. I'm the Director of Center for Student Advancement.
Hi, I'm Becky Heaney. I am Assistant Provost for Student Success and Director of the Graduation and Persistence Support Office. And we're on the academic side of the house, and we are a part of the Provost Office team.
Awesome. Well, just from their titles alone, you can tell they're quite impressive. So I'm going to let them now explain a little bit more about the specific roles that they fill on campus and share a few things that their work does to help support students here on campus. So Katie, take it away again.
Yes, so I gave you the 30,000 foot view of connecting students to resources here on campus. But we know that when students come to OU and enter their college life, we know that life happens to them that can sometimes be outside of their control. We know they may have some personal issues, family issues, health, academic concerns that really can impede their progress and can impede their health and wellness and safety on campus. And so those are things that as a university, we're committed to identifying early and collaborating across campus in different ways that we can support students so that they are safe and healthy. That's number one. And then that they can persist in their academic goals here on campus.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, yeah, in the Center for Student Advancement, there are three main things that we offer to support students. One of them is we oversee a class called Transitions, which help transfer students make that jump from their previous institution into OU and making that transition. We also have a first-year student mentoring program, which is a great opportunity for first-year students to get connected to a faculty member here on campus, someone that will just consistently check in with them on how that transition from high school to college is going. And then the main class that we oversee is a class called Strategies for Success. And this is a class that students will take if they're in university college and their OU GPA has dropped below 2.0. So if things like Katie was saying, things outside of their control impact their ability to focus on school the way that they want, or if that transition from high school to college is just really providing a lot of obstacles, we're an office that is absolutely here to support any student, try to get that academic traction and attain all the goals that they're wanting to accomplish here at OU.
And as our name would suggest, we are really focused on continuous enrollment and momentum to degree completion. We do everything that we can to support our students. Sometimes it feels so insurmountable, an issue, whatever they're dealing with seems so insurmountable. And so we try to, as best we can, serve as a hub for the other student success, the network of student success across campus, and make certain that our students know that there's a go-to person in a lot of different areas. I think the three main things that we focus on in our area were as a resource, as a hub for a resource. We have a publication called The Guide, It's online on our website, but then also given to students in print version as they're coming in as incoming students during new student orientation and new student orientation. And that guide is really a resource of all the different how to OU, both for a first year student and our transfer students. And then the other big initiative that I think that we really have had great success with is our Compass Network. It's a referral system for students. If it's a self-referral, faculty, staff, we've even had parents that have referred students through the Compass Network. And it's really about if a student is struggling academically, financially, if they're, even having roommate issues, those sorts of just struggles, we're going to help connect them to the resources on campus that can best support them. And then the other resource that we have is that finishing up, getting to that finish line, as you say, crossing, moving the tassel, and that's our graduation hotline. And we are focused on helping students that are coming down to the wire and maybe have run out of financial aid, or they need to appeal for a class substitution. There's outlier problems that keep them. It's just a roadblock that seems, again, like a huge mountain, but we may be able to move that mountain for them and help them get to that finish line.
Absolutely. I love the bookend experience of seeing them come in as first year students, helping them at orientation or move in. And then when you get to volunteer at commencement or helping them graduate, seeing those students through is really cool. But when they do move in, there's a lot of challenges that our first year students may go through. Sometimes it's their first time being away from home, being independent. And so I'm sure you all see in different lens and perspectives from your roles on campus, the different challenges that our first year students have. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about some of the most common challenges you see first year students struggle with when they start college, and what advice you give to those students when you might be working with a first year student who's encountering some of those obstacles. What advice do you share with them to help them overcome those challenges?
So that's such a great question. And there's so much that we can do in that transition from high school to college to really help support students in that. What I see most frequently, especially this time of the beginning of a school year with our new students, is this whole idea of self-management. And it's managing their time, managing their sleep, managing their priorities, managing what they eat, when they eat, how they eat. And so it's that whole idea of helping them learn how to do that for themselves. And some are, it's a spectrum. There are different places in that. But the culmination of the self-management can be really stressful for a new student, an incoming first year student. And so what I encourage them to do, number one, very, very practical, get a planner just to help write down all of the things that are going on in their mind, their head, the things they need to do just on a very practical level. Then the other thing that I really encourage them to do is to speak up whenever it feels like they're in over their head in any of those respects, reminding them early on that it takes, you can't get through college by yourself, that you have to have support. And the brave and the strong students know that, figure that out early on. And so really encourage that self-advocacy as part of self-management, actually, as a solution to self-management. So that would be my experience so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just build upon that. That was very similar to what immediately popped into my head, that independence, that freedom coming from a school system that's very structured and in place for them already, to where they are having to manage a lot of it themselves. I love the idea of a planner. I think one of the most important things that a student can do in college is, as much as they possibly can, create consistency. And that's where I see a lot of students struggle, is each day is so different. Each day has a different bedtime, different wake up time, different class schedule. Well, if they are coming from a school system that, hey, for the most part, for the past, 12 years, it's been 8 to 4, trying to keep that consistency as much as you can is incredibly important. So when they come into college, they might not have the exact same start time Monday through Friday, But if they can still keep into a routine of waking up at the same time, going to bed at the same time, that is so crucial of a foundation to build the rest of their academic success on. So I also encourage students, along with the planner, I tell students that their secret weapon in college is to know who they are as a college student. So consistently check in with themselves, ask themselves what's working, what's not working, what in my control can I do moving forward. And I think that the single most important thing with time management and building consistency is being realistic with who they are as a college student and learning that and taking advantage of that.
I'll build on the great information that Katy and Jonathan have both shared, and it feels like to me that we do know that our students that are transitioning to college have had 2.5 years of unusual disruption, and a lot of isolation. And so I think that a lot of our students that are coming on campus are struggling with, how do I reconnect? How do I re-engage in my education? Just even teaching last fall, you could see that students don't quite know what classroom management or classroom protocol looks like right now. And so I think helping them engage again and figure out how do they make connections. And so to me, that's a really seems like a simple thing, but even the fact that, and even if we disregard the disruption that's happened over the last couple of years, just even thinking about the fact of how highly managed some of our students are that are coming into college. And again, what you said, Katy, is how you self-manage, but trying to figure out how you make friends and how you meet your teachers when you don't have someone that is encouraging that or scheduling it for you. Or so, and this is a little corny, but I'll put it out there. We always kind of try to encourage our students to think about what we call CAP. And it's making a connection with a classmate, an advisor, and a professor. And that if you can do that in your first couple of weeks on campus, so that you start to build your circle of support, that really is helpful. A go-to person, just a go-to person that if things start to, as Jonathan said, if you're checking in with yourself and you're starting to become aware of things might not be going like meeting your expectations, then you have a go-to person in that group of your CAP that could be of help to you.
Absolutely. Such invaluable advice from each of you there. And I think it's when I'm an instructor as well for first year students. And when I set the tone for this semester, I always, let them know that unfortunately struggles and challenges in college are going to happen. Like you can set out every right goal and make all the right moves, and there's going to be obstacles, that unexpected things that come your way. And I think helping students understand success as a mindset and seeing that how you respond when those things happen is something we work as a team across OU to help them navigate, as you can hear from the great advice. And I think my thing that I would share with students is a growth mindset really does help you overcome when you think you can't and it's not your thing, you're not good at this, you'll never be good at this. Switching that mindset to be about growth can really help them, because obstacles unfortunately happen for us all in any season, whether you're a first year college student or grown professional working in education, things are going to come. So thinking about the ways that I love how you talked, Becky, earlier about this like network of support, and you all connect students in so many ways. What are some of those other resources and support systems that exist at OU? Maybe it's your office, maybe it's even outside of your office, that you might recommend or connect students with while they're here and while they need those additional resources. Can you share a little bit more about some of those great things that exist all across OU?
Yes, this is going to be a hard question for all of us, because we all live in the land of resources every day. And I know that I speak on behalf of Jonathan and Becky, who will say that there are angels on campus everywhere, and we couldn't do what we do without them. So it's really, really hard to just mention one or two. I'm going to try two. So I think in dovetailing with what Becky said about connections, helping students learn how to make friends, thinking about the pandemic, thinking about self-management, I think it's really important for us to continue to normalize taking care of our mental health and helping students do that. And so I think it's super helpful to remind students that campus counseling is available to them. Counselors help students in all of those things with building relationships, how to talk to people, how to prepare for tests, you know, the gamut of all the different things that we offer on campus. A student can find one individual to just listen to them and give them some really important tools for navigating whatever that challenge is in their college experience, and just to take care, just a tune-up, just a personal tune-up. I'm super encouraged that several first-year students that I have met with already have been very upfront about how they take care of their mental health. So that's a great sign to me that we're doing right by our young adults and messaging them the importance of that. So I think we should continue doing that and encourage counseling. The other thing that I will do, and I'll be brief on this, is just to have students find their people. And so that would be connecting with student organizations, which, do you consider that a resource? I really do. Having people find their people is a resource. And we know that it just takes one great connection on campus for a student to really want to be here and to feel a part of the OU family and community. And that matters. So having students find, is it an academic group? Is it a social group? You know, is it a hobby? We've got the hammock club. I mean, we could go on and on about the different little niches that exist on campus, but they're purposeful. And so I think those are the two things that I would initially encourage. Take care of your mental health through counseling, and then find your people.
Yeah, the two additional ones I would throw out there: academic life coaching. That's a position that I served for 8 years here at OU. And I mean, the benefit is in the name there. You're getting coached personally based off of your academics and what you're wanting to do with your life. What is so great about academic life coaching is every single student on campus has their own story. They have their own goals and their own path that they're trying to navigate here at OU. So this isn't, and really not really any staff member would do this, but it's not something where you would go to and they would just give you a checklist of like, here's what you have to do to be successful. They 100% tailor make their sessions to what each individual student needs and what their goals are. And it's totally led by the student and what they want to accomplish. So academic life coaching is really critical, especially with that transition from high school to college, but also making this just the best possible college experience over the next 4 years. And then the last one that I'll throw out there is academic advisors. What is so great about that is that one is mandatory and built in for every single student on campus. So even if a student is nervous about asking for help or not wanting to bother anyone, every single student on campus will meet with their academic advisor. And I can even just speak from personal experience from whenever I was a student to where we are now as an institution. There are so many amazing resources that the university has committed to putting in place to support students in a holistic way. And an academic advisor can be such a great starting point. Even though you're talking about your classes and your degree and what you're going to take next semester, it is a good opportunity for students to, you know, share how the college experience is going, and that academic advisor can get students connected to the proper resource that could potentially help. And again, it's something that is built in for every single student to engage with.
I'll share two as well. And again, tough exercise because we do have a lot of resources on campus. But I think that what we've presented here is really that four-legged stool, what we kind of, when I visualize a student and the whole person, we've touched on health and wellness, academic, just your academic performance and those academic challenges that the students might hit up against. And then the connection point and that social connection and social engagement, finding your people. And then that fourth leg of the stool is really the financial health and wellness of our students. And now more than ever, we know the stakes are high. Paying for your college education is really rough. And for a lot of us who graduated high school a gazillion years ago, that would be me. But you could work and pay for a good portion of your education, if not all of your education. You could have a summer job that you could put in enough hours, and it's just not feasible today. A student could not, they'd have to have an incredibly well-paying full-time position in order to pay for school outright, just out of their pocket. So two things that I think that we have at the university that are really helpful is the Student Financial Center, that is all about connecting students with folks that can help them with the business process of paying for school. It's if you have questions about your FAFSA or applying for an institutional loan or any of those sorts of things, the business part of how do I pay for my tuition and fees, and what do I do about setting up a refund, all of that business work is through the Student Financial Center, and they're really easy to connect with, and they're located in what we call the hub on campus, the end of the cul-de-sac at the end of Asp Avenue, and you've got Buchanan Hall, you've got Wagner Hall, and you have the Union that really serves as this interesting little hub of student support. And then the other group that is available is money coaching. And money coaching is really about helping a student with their budget and their financial plan to pay for school. And so they're going through and helping a student look at, are you maximizing your financial aid? They help educate students on taking out loans may seem scary, but it really is an investment in yourself, and helping students feel comfortable about that, and making certain that they're putting that investment toward their college education costs and not paying their car payment or their, fancy new car, fancy new phone, or, all of those sorts of things. So money coaching and the Student Financial Center, two places that are really helping our students make certain that they feel comfortable about how they're going to pay for school.
Absolutely. Great points there. One thing OU is definitely not short on is caring people and a plethora of resources. The trickiest part is just getting students to go to these places and take advantage of it. So you hear us saying it, but I know it can be overwhelming for students to actually get out and go. And so we want to make it as accessible, right? They're located close together. Most people on campus can direct students to these things. So with that, getting students to listen to the great advice that we have, what would each of you say is one kind of college hack that you would hope students would take advantage of to be successful? It can be a tip, advice, something, or other. And then how can their high schools now be preparing them for what's next? Any advice you have there?
Yeah, so I would say that one tip that we give is, students have to buy into it once they're here, is to try to get 30 more minutes of sleep a night, or 1 more hour of sleep a night than what they're getting. And that our director of counseling here on campus says that would be his one tip for every student on campus. If you could just get a little more sleep, everything else is a lot better. Mm-hmm. And that's your mental health, that's your grades, that's your connections, your relationships, just all function with just better with a little more sleep. So I would say that would be a great little hack, just a little bit more sleep. And then what can be done right now to help students prepare for college? I think it's a self-advocacy. I think it's encouraging self-advocacy right now in high school. When you see it happen, note it, applaud it, encourage it, and recognize it. And I think that'd be my simple goal. Do that, do more of that.
Yeah, and for me, I think a college hack that I actually implemented, I don't think is super obvious, but Becky already mentioned it, is just getting to know your professors. That was such a game changer for me from freshman to sophomore year. And I got into the habit of going to professor office hours consistently. And every single semester, because you're going to have a new set of professors, new set of expectations that you're trying to adjust to as quickly as possible. And anything you can do to speed up that process is just going to be to your benefit. And I think the professor is like the source of that, since they're the ones, teaching and designing the class. So I always encourage students to, early on in the semester, introduce yourself to the professor and at least ask them this one question, which is, what do your most successful students do? And that was such a game changer for me. It gave me a lot of times a very detailed blueprint of, okay, these are the expectations, these are the behaviors that I need to be putting into place to be successful in this class. So I think that's absolutely huge. Just consistently checking in with professors, checking back in after, the first round of exams. What did I do well? What feedback could you give me? Just as you're consistently getting feedback from professors and building that relationship, it makes your grades better, but also just improves the college experience, because I found that professors are really cool people here if you take the time to really get to know them. And I think a lot of times for students, it can be intimidating to reach out, but their life's work is dedicated to supporting and educating students. So they want you to go to those office hours. In terms of what a high school could do, I don't know, maybe this is like super creative, but maybe already normalizing that behavior before they get here of, hey, if there's one class that you are worried or nervous about, you need to go talk with that instructor one-to-one, not just in the 20 student class setting, but go talk to them one-to-one. So encouraging that and normalizing it, and maybe breaking the intimidation and fear that students will naturally have when they come to college would be, I think, really, really a head start for them in a lot of ways.
And I think several of us have touched on this as well, but I think my hack would be making certain that students know that those students that are most successful are asking for help and seeking out the support programming that's available to them. I'll make a pitch for our Student Learning Center, and they have action tutoring is what they call it, and it is a session where a professor and their TAs or GAs will get together, and a student can come, and it's not really, I guess it could be seen as supplemental instruction, but it's really more about, a student can come there and do their homework and raise their hand and ask questions, and it's not given to you, but you're gonna, we're gonna talk it out. We're gonna talk through this and understand it, and it helps a student engage with their learning at a deeper level. And I think normalizing, again, we've said it so many times, but if we could set that social norm of seeking additional support, tutoring, if you will, is not for that student that is, just not getting it. It's for the student who wants to get it at a greater level. And it's really about our A and B students being A++ and A students, instead of our students that are, it could benefit every student. It really, truly can. And so to me, that's that hack, that if students would get in the habit of seeking that out as normal, and it really is going to help me get the most from my learning and become a learner. And then right now, just if our high schools could talk about how that seeking out the resources are just the way you really knock it out of the park as a student.
Absolutely. Preach. Such good advice there. And I think that really sums up a lot of the different corners of campus, this beautiful network of support and supportive people who care, not just on this Zoom call, but beyond that as well. And our goal and care, of course, is working in the world of education, is that students find success, identify what success looks like for them, and we help them get to that point. And so I know each of you do that important work every day, and we're so grateful for that work that you do. I mean, my world exists a lot in bringing the students in, but you carry them on and get them to that point of graduation and persistence. We don't just want someone to start as a student, we want them to finish strong here as well. And it's that beautiful arc and all the stories they learn through it, because their degree that they get, it's going to mean something more than just a piece of paper. It's all those experiences they overcame, the challenges and the stories that they tell, the legacy they leave behind them as well. So that OU degree means a lot more to it because of these touch points that they have and experiences as well. And so I think that will wrap up our panel here for today. If you have additional questions, you're always welcome to reach out to our Office of Admissions and Recruitment. We can get you connected to these great folks and many others across campus. Should you have students that are struggling now, or you want to make sure that students are set up for success when they get to OU. So thank you for tuning in today.